American president has apparently agreed to stop supplying weapons to Kurdish fighters who are currently battling Islamic State in Syria. Turkey's foreign minister says Trump made the pledge in a phone call to his country's leader.
Mr. Trump clearly stated that he had given clear instructions not to provide the YPG with arms and that this nonsense should have ended long ago.
But the White House was less forthcoming about the conversation. It confirmed the call took place, but did not mention the Kurds. It simply said Donald Trump informed President Erdogan about upcoming adjustments to the military support being provided to America's partners on the ground in Syria. However, whether those adjustments will affect Washington's support for the Kurds wasn't made explicit. Well, the US has been sending various types of weaponry to Kurdish forces and supporting their military operations with a number of strikes. But it's been a major sticking point between America and Turkey, which considers some Kurdish forces to be terrorists. Well, for more on this, let's now cross to journalist and Kurdish affairs analyst Hiwa Osman. Hello, Hiwa, good to have your company. What would be the significance of the US ending its support for Kurdish forces in your view?
Well, it will mean the end of the Kurdish enclave in northern Syria, but at the same time it will not come as a surprise to many of us. US policy has always been one of for the status quo of the existing countries. The Kurds have been wishfully hoping for the support, or they thought that the United States can become an ally with them away from the capitals of the countries that they live in. In Iraqi Kurdistan, the situation was very clear. In Syrian Kurdistan, it's only a matter of time for the US support to stop. This will mean the end of the force that fought ISIS all along, the effective force that fought ISIS, and it will free Turkey to come and attack the YPG or bomb the various bases. It seems that, states are a lot more important than people, or governments are more important than people for the United States of America. This has been their policy all along, and it does not really come as a surprise to many analysts.
At this point in time, is it a surprise though? Is it now that ISIL is defeated all but in Syria that the US simply wants to get Turkey on side?
I think this is it. I think the international coalition, or the coalition that the United States has put together, the purpose of it was just to end ISIL. And the Kurds proved to be a very good fighting force in this. And they have finished with them. Then now they can pack up and go. This has been the situation in Iraqi Kurdistan. It was exactly the same. The Kurds were an effective force on the ground in the fight against ISIL. When ISIL disappeared, they were dropped like hot potatoes. The same situation in the Syrian Kurdistan will be repeated, I believe, unless an international player like Russia or Europe intervenes. I don't think the United States will hesitate to leave the Kurds of Syria for Turkey or the PYD or YPG or whoever else who fought with them. The American policy has been one of taxi policy with various groups in this area. It's now clear that if you are a friend of the United States or an ally of the United States, at any minute you are dropped like hot potato. But if you are an ally or a friend of Iran or Russia or any of these other countries, they stick by you to the end. And this is something that America does not do. And the Kurds specifically do not seem to be learning this lesson from history.
On the situation now in Syria, how do you think this is going to affect the dynamic in the country?
Well, it will mean that it will embolden the other forces, the more radical, the Islamic forces. Although ISIS has gone, but the opposition forces are not that much better in terms of the Kurdish rights, and many of Kurds I hear, and with the current status of play, some even prefer the Syrian regime, the government of Assad, to some of those people in the opposition forces. At least the Assad regime is clear on what he wants and what he doesn't want. With a lot of the Syrian opposition forces, they are not even willing to admit the presence of the Kurds. Their relationship with the Kurds is one of second-class citizen, and this is not going to. Okay. It will only embolden the anti-democratic forces in Syria, and it will crush the Kurds, those who fought with the United States of America.
We appreciate your take on the matter. Long-time expert on all things Kurdistan and Iraq. Journalist and political analyst Hiwa Osman.